It's Monday, January 19th. I am Geoff Schwartz. That will be Gabe. This is Geoff Schwartz of Smart, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We had a wonderful weekend of divisional round football, Gabe. We also have tonight the national championship game between Indiana and Miami. There have been 10 NFL games played between the last time college football played. It is a problem with the college football schedule. We'll touch on that. We'll talk about the game near the end of the show. But first, Gabe, how was your weekend? This is the best weekend of football, man, in the NFL. Just, the night game on Saturday was what it was, but the other three games were fantastic. You were angrily texting the group thread defending Caleb Williams' honor. You did a good job of that. Your check from him will clear shortly, but nonetheless, good weekend of ball. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I don't know about you, Jeff. Well, I do know about you because we get to talk every week, but I pulled what I would consider a veteran move, and I got ahead of things with my wife. And I said, hey, what about if we have like all the families, Little League, all the people we hang around to, how about we have them over after practice? The games can be on, we'll go outside, the kids can play, maybe we'll, order some food. And then boom, without her realizing it, I had 2 football games to watch. I barely left the couch. So I've watched more football than usual.
Not good. I do this. I told you this before. What we do in this family is we have people over on Sunday.
Yeah.
To make it to where my wife has like the friends over and the family over, and then the kids are playing by themselves and the dads get to watch football. So that's what we do every Sunday. Every Sunday. Saturday's a little different. Saturday's a lot of kids activities and whatnot. And I've told you before, now Oregon's a priority, but I'll fit in college football like when I can. Sunday is like the day we sit there at 1 o'clock, have people over, grill when the weather's nice, and have a lot of fun doing that. Did not do that this Sunday because we had only 2 games and my kids were skiing, but nonetheless, a lot of fun to watch games this weekend. I think we have to start with Buffalo, correct?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the guys who could be sitting on a couch, next to the other fellows in the neighborhood soon is Sean McDermott. Kind of a surprise because the Buffalo head coach is fired after, coming up short of expectations several years in a row here. They keep making the playoffs and then not getting where they want to be, which is the Super Bowl. But oddly, and this is the part I'd like you to react to, oddly, the GM was promoted, not fired. And many observers, including our pal Mina Kimes, sort of point out, like, there are plenty of things wrong there. Coaching, like, what's going on in Buffalo?
Okay, so this is where I net on this. After the game, you saw Josh Allen's emotions, correct? Mm-hmm. You saw Deion Dawkins' emotions. And those are normal emotions to have, right? Being sad, you put in a hard work for the season, you lose in the playoffs. Everyone's sad, right? It's terrible. But this felt especially worse than most years. And I thought that this loss was the one that would break Buffalo, right? Think about what was at stake this year. No Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. They put the graphic up during their game. Josh Allen 0-5 in the playoffs against Burrow and Mahomes, undefeated against everyone else, right? And so this is your opportunity. This AFC is the weakest it's been since what, Gabe? I mean, no Tom Brady Patriots, no Chiefs, no like good Joe Burrow team, right? Like this is no Baltimore team. This is the time to do it right now. I mean, the championship game is Bo Nix. I know he's not playing, obviously, and Drake May, right? Think about the quarterback sitting at home right now. This was the opportunity for Buffalo to get this done, and they didn't play well. No, Josh Allen didn't play well either, right? That's part of the discussion. He wasn't his best self, and as the years have gone by, he's played worse in playoff games. It's a little bit much how the media coddles him. Like I get he's emotional and sucks to see someone emotional like that, but this wasn't his best game, right? He threw bad interception, a really terrible fumble. This is where coaching matters, right? Because before the end of the half, Sean McDermott's got to say, "Hey, man, we're just taking a knee. Like we're not. I thought Romo was better than usual yesterday. Actually, Romo said at the time, he goes, you're not going to score on that play. Why bother to run the play? He's absolutely right. So there were some coaching issues, but Josh Allen didn't play very well. And something had to change because I really do feel if they would have run this unit back the same as they did this year, they would have had like a Chiefs situation, like a 6-10 season or 7-10 season, something like that, where it just didn't go their way. Like they seemed very broken after that game. And it's easier right now, I think, to fire the coach than the general manager, even though I think the general manager is very much up for debate here. Brandon Beane has not drafted very well. I think they said in Josh Allen draft, he's drafted like 2 Pro Bowlers. Um, they draft no wide receivers. I mean, it's legitimately a bad roster. Josh Allen rises up above that, so he deserves credit for that. And I know Brandon Beane got promoted, which I find shocking, but I think setting aside that part of it, it wasn't all McDermott's fault, Gabe, but this is the end of the line. Like, it's just done. And there was a couple examples of, you fire a coach who has a good team like this, the next year they win a championship, right? Happened with Dungy and Gruden, I believe. One other example where you basically fired a ready-made team. I think actually it might have been the other way around with Dungy in Tampa Bay. I mean, in Indianapolis, like you fire like sort of a coach and the new one comes in and boom, and this feels like a situation where that could happen here in Buffalo, but the excruciating pain, the way they lose these games, something had to be done. And it's just easier to fire the head coach. Now, I'm surprised the GM got a promotion, but that's a chain of custody thing, right? Like chain of command thing, I should say, like where it very clear was McDermott reported to the GM and the head coach, the GM and the owner. Now it goes, coach, GM up to the owner. Like they just made the ladder different essentially. But this had to be done, in my opinion, Gabe. It's not McDermott's fault per se, but this is the end of the line for him.
So I'm going to make a comparison to sort of corporate setting, right? Like there are kind of jobs where you're really busy all the time doing the thing, right? And so in my world, like there are great showrunners, producers who are just like going out and like making the stuff. And they're busy all day and they're up all night and they're always thinking about the show and the talent and everything else. And then there's like executives, and I've been both of those people. You have time in your day as an executive to like go kiss the boss's ass or send that extra email or kind of frame things up in a meeting that kind of favor you over somebody else. You can, even if you don't mean to do it, you can kind of establish like some finger pointing if you have that kind of job. A head coach in the NFL does not have time for those politics, I wouldn't think. So do you think that like GMs basically see a point where they're like, I got to kind of blame this thing on coach so I can protect my job? And
yes,
intentionally or otherwise, just knife them.
Yes. Look, think about this. During a game, who is the owner typically sitting with?
I assume the GM or the equivalent, some front office big brain guy.
So when a bad play happens on the field, you can just be like, look at that dumb coach.
Yeah, I talked to him about that last week. Sorry, buddy. Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like it's easy to do that. While you might not be absolutely doing it to throw the guy under the bus on purpose, it's easy to come off as that pretty easily, right? Like
100%.
And so I think that the relationship you have with the owner as a general manager is a lot different. It's why these GMs survive. These GMs survive. Like if you hired a coach that was bad and then you draft a quarterback that was bad, why do you think you're going to hire a better coach in year two? Or not year two, but the second go around, right? Gabe, draft the quarterback better the second go around. Brandon Beane has Josh Allen. They got to draft better. You got to develop players better. I mean, we were texting before the show. I think Hank sent this over. The Bills haven't had a sack from a defensive end in 6 divisional playoff games?
I think it's in the losing games. Yeah, like they just can't put pressure on the other team when they lose. Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about the calls at the end of that game. Bosa hit Bo Nix 4 seconds after the play was over. So the first PI, which I didn't agree with, it was a personal foul anyways. He's getting 15 yards. Like he was irrelevant whether we liked it or not. And so the way they're losing, it's easy to put it on McDermott. I think McDermott, if he wants a job, again, be hired tomorrow. He's always done in Buffalo's win and make the playoffs. Like that's all you can ask it, but he just has him over the hurdle. We've talked about, there's just so many stats where it's like Buffalo, is this good but hasn't won a Super Bowl. I mean, there's I'm pulling up the text thread now. I mean, Ben Solak put out, only 4 teams Super Bowl era have won a playoff game in 6 consecutive seasons. The Cowboys won 3 Super Bowls. The Patriots won 3 Super Bowls. The Chiefs won 3 Super Bowls. The Bills are not playing a Super Bowl. Like there's all these stats, the most wins of a quarterback that's not playing Super Bowl, the most wins of a quarterback as a head coach has coached Super Bowl. There's something blocking them from getting where they want to be. And this was the break that they had to have. The thing about it though, Gabe, I say this a lot. When you fire a coach, you better hire someone better. Mm-hmm. I don't love the options at the moment for Buffalo. Brian Dable's better than Sean McDermott. That's the choice. It's your boy, Brian Dable, the future Alabama head coach.
Hey, man. don't put that guy on me. I said that if Kalen DeBoer kept screwing up.
Like Bill Belichick, I keep hearing Bill Belichick's name for this job, which is silly to me. The hot coaching candidates seem to be sort of like the defensive coordinators that have had a chance but should have like Brian Flores, right? Should have a second chance, right? Like there's sort of those names, right? Matt Nagy, second chance head coach, and the other group of guys seems to be this young hotshot OC, right? Like the Jacksonville Jaguars guy, the Rams guy. Those guys haven't even called plays yet. Like they're not ready for a Buffalo Bills job at 31 years old. And I don't know who the right guy is. I mean, look, Harbaugh would have taken that job probably if it was available. I mean, it's Josh Allen. You want that job. But the roster's not in great shape. The GM is there for a while. So very curious who they end up hiring.
Well, okay, let's focus then on the quarterback for a second longer, because I like Josh Allen. He's fun to watch. I think almost any team other than Kansas City would trade their quarterback for him, right?
Yeah,
just about.
Oh yeah.
But here's the thing, man. Like in overtime, the game simplifies, right? Finite amount of time. Basically, stop them and score is the strategy. There's not a whole lot else going on. There's not a ton of clock management, not a lot you can do with different personnel looks. It's a drive versus a drive. It's the closest thing to like boxing or combat sports, just like better guy wins. Josh Allen has scored 3 points in 7 OT games, and he had the ball with a chance to win in 6 of those games. And a few of them are famous, right? Like, it just feels like we do have to ask ourselves a couple harder questions about Josh Allen and the way he plays and his decision making, because a coach doesn't have as much control in those settings.
No, I think it's fair to look at those games and ask, why is Josh not getting it done? Now, in this game in particular, it wasn't his fault in the the postseason, in the overtime, right? I mean, that Cooks has got to catch that football. Like that's not his fault, unless there was another play I don't remember in overtime. But now again, the 3 points you lost in the first half, that's Josh Allen's fault, right? So there are other opportunities in the game, I think, that are issues for him. But that Cooks wasn't his problem. He obviously famously didn't get the ball back against Kansas City. I don't remember how last year went, but look, when you get to a certain point in your career, Josh Allen's at this point, Mahomes, Lamar, you get judged off playoff wins and losses. You might not like the quarterback wins thing, Gabe, and I certainly think it's not the best way to evaluate quarterbacks, but at a certain point, you get to a point where we know your baseline is good enough to be in the postseason. How do you elevate your team now when it becomes time? Because he just has to get there. He's not... you want to compare him to like Marino and Elway, some of these guys that sort of never, Peyton Manning, like sort of just never got there, but eventually Marino never did early in their careers. But they played in Super Bowls. Like he hasn't even been to a Super Bowl yet. I think Marino played one in '84, right? Like he got to Super Bowl in the second season. Elway got to, I think, 3 Super Bowls and lost all 3 of them. He's not even getting, they're not getting there. They're not getting there. And the AFC Championship games he's played in, they lost the Chiefs, I think, by 3 in one of them, right? They lost the Chiefs both times, and that wasn't the 13-2 game. That was a divisional round game.
Oh, and that was divisional? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a divisional round game, yeah. Because the Chiefs lost to the Bengals, I think, the next week. And they lost the Chiefs, I think, by 14 the first time, and then lost by 3 the second time in an AFC Championship game. But like they're not even really getting the AFC Championship game very often as well. So something's got to change. And it made sense why this move was made. And now McDermott becomes the best coach on the market, man. He can coach. He can absolutely coach.
Well, okay, best coach on the market. I'm always going to use my time on this show to point out that Mike Tomlin is a coach. Mike Tomlin is available.
Yeah, but Mike Tomlin I don't think wants to coach this cycle, though. It doesn't sound like he wants to coach.
Oh, okay.
He's coming to be a part of our podcast, right?
I'm happy to give him my seat. Let me ask you this real quick, because it was the story, apart from the Bills screwing it up again and melting down. There's really 2 other headlines that we haven't gotten to yet from this game. They're both obvious. One was this hotly debated and often sort of confused conversation around the interception, or what some people might think should not have been an interception. So it's a little bit hard to do in audio, but can you just talk to me about not only your feelings on that debatable call, but also the commentary that followed?
Yeah. Okay. So I thought I've wobbled on this, but I think it's fair to have that sometimes.
Ball wobble too.
Calling the field. Now, part of it was like we had as a group had Brandon Cooks over receiving, so that catch would have made us some money. But I thought originally it was interception. Then I watched too many. Then I looked at too many still pictures and thought maybe it was a catch. And then I saw Davante Adams in the night game last night, who caught the ball very clearly down and then lost control, where Cooks never had control of the ball. Like, they're just two different plays. So you're seeing here on screen, like Adams is down, two hands on the ball, secured. Cooks on the other side is down, but the guy's got the ball in his hand. Like they're wrestling for the ball. I just think Cooks can't let that happen. You cannot get the ball ripped from you. You just can't do it. Like Davante Adams has two guys on him. He's down. Okay, the ball comes out. Dude, the guy was like on your backside and he rolled over and grabbed the ball from you. Cooks just can't let that happen. So I actually think that was the right call. I think it was interception. And I think the other one was correct too, where Davante Adams was down, firm control of the ball comes out. That's not an interception.
Did you think that the various freakouts, was anyone arguing in good faith? Because it felt like Rorschach. Like, depending on who you were rooting for, you could see whatever the hell you wanted in both situations.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that's why, that's like, with McDermott, like after the game talking about how he's defending Buffalo. And I was on the radio yesterday and my radio co-host was like, what's he talking about? He knows it's an interception. What are you supposed to do? He's supposed to defend himself. Like that's what he's supposed to do. Yeah. Where you fell on the gambling spectrum is probably where you felt this game, the result. But look, I think in the end, very clearly, one was a catch, one was an interception, and they have to, again, Cooks, to me, it's on Cooks. Like you got to secure that ball, man. Like you can't let it be ripped from you.
Yeah. That's all you need to hear on that topic. Let me switch to the other losers who, for moments there, looked like the actual winners of the game. And you're right. We were texting through it. I'm going to transition by saying this. Caleb Williams will win a ring before Josh Allen does. And I know that his team lost.
Yeah.
And I know that he threw an interception in a critical spot, which anyone who knows football could see is not his fault. But that guy has something extra to me. Physically, they're very similar, but Caleb has something that Josh is missing, in my opinion. And I think he's got a good team with a good coach. I think he gets the ring first. It's not this year, clearly.
Yeah. So it's a good comparison, I think. And the things that both of them have to clean up as young players are the same, where Williams makes the wow plays but completed 52% of his passes in the playoffs. Right, Gabe? Like, it's got to be better. You got to complete, this year was like 58%. You got to be 65 next year, right?
In literally the Windy City.
I'm just talking about, you can complete more passes. I think that's his next step is the consistency, right? It's consistency of like, let's just be more consistent. Because even some of the throws yesterday were behind guys and not the best. But then again, I mean, he threw the longest 14-yard Hail Mary I've ever seen in my life. And Cole Kmet, that was a great job by him. If Williams can make those plays and then be a little more accurate on the easier type throws, yeah, man, like he's a rocket ship going up. And Ben Johnson, okay? What I love about Ben Johnson is he has a game plan. He knows what works. He runs what works. Like, you don't watch those games. Like McVay, I thought, had an all-time terrible game plan yesterday. Like, just an embarrassingly bad game plan. Didn't run the ball enough, despite it working. Threw the ball too much. Now you might disagree with Ben Johnson going for it on fourth down. I certainly thought he should get field goal the first one. I didn't love his play calls on third and short, but he has an identity, Gabe. And after year one, the goal for me, if I'm a Ben Johnson backer or Bears fan, was to know Caleb is my guy. Done. He's my guy. Now, how do we hone the offense? How do we get Williams to be better? How do we bring in some more wide receiving talent? How do we improve the defense? So now you have your guy. Now the world is your oyster, right? You can figure out how to build around him, and they have good pieces. Like, they just have to get better around him, and he can get a little more accurate, which is Josh Allen's problem. Josh Allen made these YOLO plays. He just needed to be more accurate. When he got more accurate, he was a better football player. I don't think Ben Johnson's a better coach than Sean McDermott. So you have that part of it as well.
Okay. All right. Well, then
I think he managed the game much better.
Fair enough. I think the Bears have a lot of promise. I think we should just close out this first segment by talking briefly about the two other losing teams. Odd how we did this. A lot of focus on the losers coming out of divisional round. So I'm going to save us time. The Niners, obviously, they got to figure out what's going on with that electromagnetic field. That's the only issue in San Francisco. In Houston, the issue is the quarterback, pretty clearly. The defense can play. Even their offensive players, when given a chance to hit, like level dudes. Woody Marks with a big hit on a turnover. What are we supposed to think about C.J. Stroud? Because we were all told to believe he's the next thing. I never bought it. Now we're here being told he's terrible. He's probably not that bad. What is C.J. Stroud? Can he win in Houston?
Your boy Woody Marks, I think, set the record for leaving every game this year with an injury. I think he left every game this year with an injury.
Well, he's making too many tackles.
Okay, so we have a tweet up on the screen. C.J. Stroud became the first player since Kerry Collins in the 2000 Super Bowl to complete under 43% of passes, throw 4 interceptions. Producer Hank not knowing who Kerry Collins was a wake-up call, Gabe, for our age. That hurt. It hurt a little bit. It did hurt. So,
I had to really talk to him about it, like who that is and how that's not that long ago, and it got me down a hole, dude. It was weird because it got me. You're a Coughlin guy, but it got me into this is how old I am. I was like, what?
He started a Super Bowl, Hank.
Yeah, that's what I told him. And I was like, he played for a coach who was a pretty good coach. And I even worked with the guy. And why can't I remember the damn name? Jim Fossil.
Jim Fossil. I mean, he played with Joe Pa, at Penn State. I think he won a Rose Bowl there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the point of this.
No, it's not. Kerry Collins, look him up, kids. C.J. Stroud, terrible.
Okay. So I love the Troy Aikman, by the way, who does these games on ESPN now. Sort of feels freer to say negative things about guys. I thought he summed up pretty well. He said that in that game, he's like, I do radio with a guy named Jared Stillman from Nashville, and he jokes all the time about in these playoff games that they do the broadcasters mourners Kaddish, where they at the end of the game, Jim, it was a great season for the Texans, but Aikman was doing the mourners Kaddish for the Houston Texans. It's great. He texted me the other day and he's like, Romo's doing it. He's doing the mourners Kaddish again. We're doing the mourners Kaddish. He's just mourning the Texans. And one thing he said about it was Stroud has been chasing the rookie year success and just hasn't got back to it yet. And it feels like that year is a one-off, Gabe. It feels like that year is a one-off. Since then, he's not been very good. He's had spurts of being good. They changed OCs. The offensive line's not very good. I can tell you're never going to forget the mourners Kaddish now. The broadcast Kaddish. It's the best. It happens every time.
I get it. I'm wondering what percentage of this audience is wondering what the hell you're talking about. More people had to look up mourners Kaddish than Kerry Collins. I can tell you that.
Probably. So the broadcasters Kaddish. That's what we're calling it. Stroud, dude, the confidence you could tell just zapped from his face. Just no confidence was there whatsoever. Even when he was throwing the ball, it was behind wide receivers, wasn't on time. And yeah, the offense line's a problem. Absolutely. But Nico Collins didn't play, but his weapons aren't terrible. He's got decent wide receivers, good tight ends, running backs, they're fine. But, I thought they were going to bench him at halftime, which would have probably been the end of C.J. Stroud in Houston. So I think they probably should have. They probably should have benched him. Yeah, New England was getting after him and whatnot, which didn't help. But it's not good, man. I don't think you feel great if you are a Texans fan right now.
I wouldn't feel good. I also would. Sorry to just pile on, but I'll bring the group chat to life here. I would also not feel so confident in people like Jaden Daniels because we see this. One good year in the league doesn't mean anything. You follow that up with a tough season, some injuries. It's hard to get back there. C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels come into the league with kind of the same. What did I just call them? You know what I meant. They come into the league with sort of the same thing. And I just don't know that 1 year's ever enough to feel like you got your guy.
Yeah.
I appreciated what you said about Caleb, but it takes more than a year or two.
The thing with Daniels though is
Did I
that
give him a Mick Daniels? I think I did.
he just was hurt this year. I mean, that zapped his. But Stroud is now, I mean, 2 years now. He's got a year 4. I mean, he threw a pass so bad yesterday that someone tore his ACL trying to stop and catch the football.
It's true. I don't mean to laugh at that guy, but you're right. That happened.
Like he tried to stop and his foot got caught in the turf and he tore his ACL trying to stop. I mean, it was just a bad performance. I mean, but again, I think the thing that worried me the most was that Stroud didn't look confident at all. You
Right.
can have a bad game and still look like you belong in that moment.
Sure.
He didn't look like he belonged in that moment. And I was listening to someone, forget who it was, but I think in the 3 playoff games Houston has played with CJ Stroud, or last 3 years, or whatever number it is, they've scored as many points on defense as they have on offense.
Yeah. They've kind of been that team. Whenever they're good, they're good because their D can keep them in a game. So, they've had years where they're a big scoring offense, but those were not the years that they were very good.
Correct. And so I'm look, they have to give him his 5th year, right? I mean, you have to you don't have to extend it, but you have to agree to do the 5th year option. I feel like you can't just ignore that. But I don't know what they do here. Another OC? Do you go another OC? I don't think so. I think you just have to hope that you can find some way to get him to play more confidently.
Let me ask you this as we go to break, because I also have questions for you about. We forgot to put it in the rundown, so this is my reminder. I really want to hear about what they call, not my term, White Boy Wednesdays in the locker room. I need to hear about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Here's another question about just you've played 8 or so years in the NFL. Like, do you guys know? Just know. Like, I've worked on shows where the host, I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, they're nice people. I'm proud of whatever we can pull off, but I know this thing just isn't going to go anywhere. Like, do you, as a player, just know, like, yeah, we're a good team. We're not going to get to a Super Bowl with this quarterback. Do you ever talk about it with your teammates?
Good question. So I think you always feel you can win a championship because you have to convince yourself of that to do this job.
Mm-hmm.
But if your quarterback can do it or not, right? And so I feel like I won't throw him under the bus, but I play with some quarterbacks, one specific, like, it's just like, this guy's just not very good, like immediately not very good. Everyone else I played with, Matt Moore even, Jake Delhomme, Alex Smith, Eli, Christian Ponder, like you think you can win. You just do. You have to convince yourself of that, Gabe. I mean, with Ponder, we made the playoffs in 2012. So you convince yourself of that.
I'm sorry. I'm stunned that Christian Ponder is on the list you just said and not that other list. I know. That's very kind of you to have included Christian in the this guy can play list.
I mean, it was like Adrian Peterson 2,000-yard season. I mean, he's the reason why we were where we are. But the point is, like, you enter the playoffs. Like, he didn't play in that game because he was hurt in the playoff game. But you enter the playoffs like, hey guys, yeah, we can. What about us? Why not us? So I think you convince yourself of that. I don't think the players in Houston are really going to think to themselves anything other than what I just said. Like, let's retool next year. Let's get him an offensive line. We know what he can do. Let's get right back here again and be better next season. I don't think a lot of players look at CJ Stroud on the team and think to themselves, we can't win with this guy.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because wide receivers usually show you what they're thinking.
But I don't. Wideouts are divas, whatever. They think the same thing all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we switch over to the teams that won? Do a little bit of preview of next week. Hit that White Boy Wednesday thing, and also some more coaching carousel stuff that's lingering.
All right, Gabe, let's talk about the winners now. Normally we do winners first, but today we did mostly losers because it's more interesting to talk about some of the losers first today. What do we got, buddy?
Well, I think it's because you kind of told us this was going to happen. I think for
Was the Rams to lose? Yeah, Rams to lose the AFC in the Rams lost a conference championship game plus 850. That was one of
okay,
our wagers we took
that's just that's like a nice smart value pick.
Yeah.
I'm saying in my conversations with you, not when we're making official picks, not when we're putting money on the line. You've just sort of convinced me the Rams are the most complete team in the NFC. They have the coach, the quarterback, they play defense. They didn't look great.
Yeah.
How do you like him against Seattle?
Oh man, I don't love it. The Rams are one of those teams that you just sort of like hope for a little bit more from. You know, like you watch them play, they're so talented, and then it's like give me that little more, and that little more is just not there right now, and that to me is what the issue is. If we get a full 60-minute Rams game, play calling, Stafford, pass rush, secondary, run the ball, they can easily beat Seattle. But Seattle is playing better football right now. They are true to their identity. They're credible on defense. Now, Zach Charbonnet's out for the season with a knee injury. That's big for them because they rotate their back so much. Yeah. The run game has gotten better. I worry about their offensive line, but dude, Jared Verse didn't hit Caleb Williams and was playing as a backup left tackle yesterday. So I have my reservations about the Rams heading into this game on Sunday.
Yeah, I also do. My household will be no more. We were conflicted last night because we're a USC household, but we're Rams fans. At least my kids are. So I was like, ugh. The coin flip went to Caleb last night, and I was the loser. But the kids are happy. Rams advance. We're rooting for the Rams. It does feel like one of those icky, forgotten to history type years where you're like, these are the two teams in the Super Bowl. Can we just get this over with? Like, and the Seahawks could be that team. It just feels like that. The other team that it feels like it's going to be that's super icky for me is the Patriots, because I haven't believed in them. I haven't wanted to believe in them. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about how they beat up on bad teams. Now they're getting a backup quarterback in a QB room that didn't even have an obvious starter. They're getting Stidham. I saw that pass to Booty that kind of put the game away from Drake May, and I thought, okay, these guys are actually good. These guys are actually scary. Their defense is good. That ball was perfect. No, you're shaking your head. Okay, good. Talk me into it. Why are the Patriots going to lose?
Well, I mean, Bo Nix was playing, I feel much better. But Drake May, this postseason, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost, and 3 extra fumbles that he recovered. It's not been a great postseason for Drake May. And these are, again, the 2 best defenses they might have played all season. Now they play their first road game on the road, exchange game, in a game they're 6-point favorites in. The Patriots are the first team since 1987 to win a playoff game with 250 yards or fewer, 13 or fewer first downs, and 3+ turnovers. They had 4 yards of play. They sacked 5 times and were bad on third down. Their offense has not been as good in the postseason. Now you're playing Jared Stidham.
I'm sending prayers for a strong recovery. A positive note going into the game versus the Patriots is that they struggle against backup QBs in championship-type games. Nice troll, Nick Foles. Yeah. Nice self-awareness, too.
I love it. I love it so much.
I like it, and I think – and Stidham has some New England ties, by the way. But I feel like Sean Payton more than most of this new generation. You know, there's the Shanahan tree. I think the Payton tree is better proof that, like, the right big guy can run my offense for me, and I don't know if there'll be much of a drop. I don't see Bo Nix being a huge difference maker over Jared Stidham.
Dude, but Bo Nix, as much as you might, he makes some big throws, dude. He knows big moments. He has made a lot of throws this season. And his ability to run has been important. Now, by the way, as I get on the internet, it looks like they opened up Dobbins' practice window. Did Denver with a thought he might be able to play this weekend? That would be a huge bonus for this Broncos team. Bo Nix makes enough big plays in these games to where it might make up for being a little inconsistent early in games. What I loved about the Broncos on Saturday afternoon now, 2 times the Bills had secondary players leave for injury. What happened the very next play, Gabe? Denver threw right the backup for a touchdown.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that. Clearly, Sean Payne got in his ear and was like, hey, here's the play call, throw to the backup nickel, the backup corner, backup safety. I love those things that Sean Payne does. And that, with Bo Nix playing, I would have picked Denver easily in this game. So the questions we're talking about, like, how much does it matter he's out? I think it matters enough, but 6 points is a lot, man. Again, I think New England's going to have trouble scoring this game. The Broncos defense is good. New England's offensive line struggled. Will Campbell struggled to return from injury. It's not a daunting wide receiver group, right? They're good at running back. On the flip side, their defense has gotten better this season, but the Broncos offensive line is really good. Like they got good weapons to do the Broncos. Got to stop dropping some passes every now and then. I think it's gonna be a really good game, man. I wouldn't put it past them to win.
Well, I hope they do. I'll be watching with Broncos fans, and I won't allow Patriots fans in my house. So, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
there were some rumors. I think I even texted it to you. I noticed you didn't respond. There were some rumors that maybe there's some debate about when this ankle injury happened with Bo Nix. People weren't sure during the game. Then he did a post-game interview, didn't show signs of having a really badly hurt ankle. And there was some question of, could this have happened in the locker room? Like, what do you say to all that nonsense?
No. So there's video. There was video of him limping pretty heavily off the field after the kneel down. And then it makes sense. So the defensive pass interference throw that we saw, it was a poorly thrown ball. Like it didn't have enough distance on it. That's probably because his ankle was broken. Right. He couldn't throw the ball. It makes more sense now. I was like, when he threw the ball, I was like, that's a weirdly threw the ball really, really high. And then after the game, who was doing it would have been Tracy Wolfson. Was that who was on the sidelines doing
maybe?
That game?
I don't remember who it was.
But there's a picture of them doing the post-game interview, and Bo Nix is like not really putting weight on his leg at all. I find the timeline so fascinating. So this is what I gather. So Sean Payne, the game's over, go in the locker room, they celebrate. Sean Payne does his press conference with the reporters, comes back inside. They talk to the medical crew, talk to Bo Nix, realize it's broken. Then he goes back out to tell the media that he's out for the rest of the season. I found it interesting, Gabe, that there were people that were wondering why he just said it and just like didn't play coy. NFL, you have injury reports. Like they would have been, Bo Nix would have been out with the ankle injury on Wednesday. Like, of course, he just said something now. Why make this a whole week? Jared said him starting. Let him be the starter. Don't play coy. Don't lead a week of media speculation. Just it happened. Make it happen, and then move on from it.
Well, that's clearly the choice he made. I think we should take a break here because I want to save the remaining time we have for a few other topics.
Let's take one more break.
Let's come back and hit White Boy Wednesday.
All right, Gabe. White Boy Wednesday. What do you want to get into?
Well, so we could be talking about the national championship. We could be talking about Mike Tomlin and all the various other coaching carousel stuff. We got time. I read a tweet and I shared it with you. It was about a player talking about how he loves rock music. All right. This was a young guy, black guy. And he was I like rock music.
I think it's Al Shazier, right? Their linebacker, who it was?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
And he said, I love Wednesdays because that's when I get introduced to like rock music. And I learned this saying from rock. And he quotes. Okay.
And then you get into fights, right? Because like sometimes it could be a week full of one genre. The next week it's full of another genre. And like people don't want to listen to the same music every day. So we have days. So like we'll have White Boy Wednesday. We just play white boy music. And then one day we play country. And one day we play rap music. One day it's a hip hop day. One day it's a strength coaches day. One day it's a mix. So you just have these days so you know like what to expect for music in the weight room.
Okay, but what are you forced to play like stereotypical or cliche choices?
Yes.
Like, do you have to play Linkin Park? Can't you?
I don't know if it's a Pandora mix of like classic rock or alternative rock or heavy metal or whatever they put on, but Yeah, you just stick to the John. You stick if it's White Boy Wednesday, you're playing rock and roll most likely.
Or country.
Yeah, but country might be a different day. I don't know.
Do they have? Is there ever like subgenres? Like, could I get like old hip hop instead of like Future or whoever's most popular in the locker room now?
Yeah, I would prefer that over.
I know
over
you
the rap
would.
now.
Yeah, of course you would. I'm saying, like, are there people teaching the youngs about what the olds liked?
That's a good question. I don't remember. It's it's it was often a lot of the new rap. It was often that's what was listened to, and sometimes it could be. It's a little rough sometimes. A little rough.
Okay. And so do you think that other players have the same attitude that Al Shazier has of like, yeah, that's
Yes.
kind of cool, change of pace. I learned some things
like,
I like.
Like there are songs I listened to on the rap days that I didn't know existed. I was like, oh shit, this is a good song. And
They
you
go
just
into
look
your
it up and
playlist after that.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And do you think that any guys are like, you know what? This Chris Singleton guy, he's pretty good.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's why locker room's great, man. Like you just like a melting pot of cultures. You get forced to have to learn about other cultures. If you don't, you just won't adapt. You just won't make it in the locker room, right? So it's one thing I always loved about it. Yeah. So White Boy Wednesday's a thing, and I like Al Shazier's in on Lincoln Park.
Now you don't strike me as a person who would have commandeered the playlist very often.
I think it was the aux cord back in my days.
The aux cord, yeah. Did you ever? And if so, what was your contribution?
Well, it would back then it would have been probably like West Coast hip hop. Now we know what it would be. So,
well, sure. I mean, Diplo is coming, but
Avicii, Tiesto,
Marshmallow,
Loud Luxury, Two Friends. We'd be all Calvin Harris.
Yeah.
We'd be all in that. That's would be my world now. But back in the day, it would have been like West Coast hip hop. That would have been what I would have put on.
Okay. All right. Coaching carousel stuff. I think there's a lot of jokes right now about all these, the Harbaugh and Stefanski probably wish they hadn't already signed up for the job they did, and not knowing Buffalo job would open up.
Correct.
But
yes.
Give me a couple predictions. Where do you think a few of these guys land? We're talking a lot about OCs that could get put here, there, or the other place. Eric Bieniemy is apparently talking to the Chiefs again. Like, make a little sense of that, and then we'll hit the champ game.
So obviously, Bieniemy coming back to Kansas City was saying, Matt Nagy's getting a head coaching job somewhere else, right?
I guess.
And the Eric Bieniemy thing is interesting because it's always Andy Reid's offense, but clearly it worked better with Eric Bieniemy there than Matt Nagy.
Yes.
So I don't know what it means for the offense other than they're going back to what worked best, which is Eric Bieniemy in the building. And so I'm curious about that. Look, the coaching guys just don't really inspire me. It's either retreads or it's like 30-year-old offense coordinator hasn't ever called plays being a head coach at 30 years old. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like a great list of coaches. Nagy's getting a job. It feels like Flores is probably getting a job. Mike McCarthy probably getting a job. And then there's the Rams offensive coordinator. It seems like he's getting a job. But that it's hard to figure out who the other jobs go to.
Are any owners, GMs, decision makers ever approaching two guys who are like a 1A, right? And saying, hey, Mike McDaniel, pretty interesting guy. You run a great offense. You haven't done great as a head coach. Hey, Robert Saleh, really like you, seem like a leader, do a good job on the defense. You did a bad job as a head coach. You two are together. You don't get to pick. Like, you're the team. Go, figure it out. Did you ever do something like that?
Well, so I do a podcast called GM Shuffle with Marty Herney. And he says the number one thing he looked for as general manager was who the head coach was hiring as their coordinators.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the discussion, right? If you're going to hire, John Harbaugh, like who you bringing, who's your OC, who's your DC? Stefanski, who's your OC, who's your DC? So those decisions absolutely matter. Now, if I was general, I wouldn't force someone on a head coach. That doesn't seem to work. But you have to bring in the right assistants for it to work. But I wouldn't force like this guy now, unless like I do think some position coaches, if you're a good offensive line coach, you should keep your job. Good position, good wide receiver coach, like D line coach, like those things I think make more sense. But to force coordinators on coaches feels a little bit tough.
I'm almost wondering like co-coach, like just no ego. Because one of the notes that we just heard, we wanted to get to, I think we'll save time though. James Harrison basically said of his former coach, like Mike Tomlin's not a Hall of Famer because he's never developed any other coaches, and he implied that ego had something to do with that.
It is rather interesting that the Tomlin's tree is like nothing. Like there's no like Andy Reid's coaching tree hasn't won a Super Bowl. I don't think they've been to a couple. Right, Rivera's been to one. McDermott's been really good. I think maybe Harbaugh's one of his guys. Maybe Harbaugh's a. But like Andy Reid has an extensive coaching tree. You know, Belichick again, like him or dislike him, has an extensive coaching tree, right? Tomlin has like zero.
I mean, right, which was held against him by his former player. And
which is kind of, James Harrison just doesn't. I don't think like Mike Tomlin very much. Though, by general, I think he's maybe not the best person to talk about this, but he doesn't. I mean, he never said anything nice about him, does he?
I don't tend to listen closely to what he has to say, but
so James Harrison, we would train in the summers at the same gym. He didn't train with my trainer. We trained in the same gym, but the strongest human I've ever seen in my life.
Of course.
Like he would one time we were pushing a truck. It was a dually, like a Ford F650 with a dually truck. So I had 4 wheels in the back. And we were pushing it, and James Harrison was coming in to work out. And he's like, look, you guys are weak. How much does this thing weigh? We looked up, it was like 6,500 pounds. He goes, let me push this thing. Just no warm up, nothing. Just freaking dominated us. Just like got behind the truck and just like it was. He put on. We push a sled. He'd put on every weight possible on the sled, like 15 45s, and push that. This incredible amount of strength this guy had. It's unbelievable to watch him do stuff in the weight room.
Sorry, can you back up a second here? You're saying you went to like some big fancy gym in the off season where all these NFL guys show up, and the best way you guys can figure out how to work out is to push a truck?
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So when I worked on the off season, I went to offensive line only place, right? LaCharles Bentley was doing it back then. Now my buddy Duke Manyweather, O-line masterminds, he's the one that does it now. Yeah. So the way we get in shape as offensive linemen is pushing and pulling things. So we didn't run. I didn't run for 7 weeks in the off, but I'd show up for training camp and pass conditioning test. And you have to push a lot of weight. Like you got to push sleds, you got to pull sleds, you got to push trucks, you have to push stuff. Now we would do it. Now here's why, Gabe. So we'd be pushing the truck, and someone would be sitting in the front seat, and they would hit the brake. All right. And what that would force you to do is reset your hips and then attack the truck again. Same as you're blocking someone, right? If I'm blocking someone, right, and they sort of stalemate me, I got to reset my hips and boom, pop up and then like drive them again. So that mimics doing that, but with the truck and the heavier weight. Does that make sense?
Your explanation made sense. I just think the idea that there's like a guy sitting in the cab of a big truck and then you're just pushing it around.
Yeah, it's like functional training. So you're doing conditioning, right? Strengthening your legs and also working on resetting your hips and being able to come to a complete stop and then reset your hips and pop again and drive the truck, however long you have to do. It wasn't long, but that's how we got in shape, pushing and pulling stuff. So we would push sleds, obviously, different weights, different types of pushes. We'd also pull sleds, do RDL walks and do spider walks and do VMO walks. Like just, that's what we did. I still push a sled once a week at the gym. It's awesome.
All right. You're really giving me a lot here, but we don't have enough time to cover the national championship. I just think it's funny to me that somebody watched Rocky IV and was like, yeah, those training montages look good. I'm gonna do something even dumber looking than that.
We should. I wonder if we have video.
Have you ever chased a chicken?
I've not chased a chicken before.
You ever climbed a mountain with a log on your back?
I have not done that.
Oh well, what are you doing?
I'm gonna see if do you have any videos of us pushing a truck. I'm gonna see if I can get you a video.
I would like to see that. All right, while we've got the remaining few minutes here, give me a feel. Game starts in a few hours.
Yeah.
I just got to tell you, I don't know how anyone in their right mind could bet against Indiana after what we've seen this season.
I had bet on Indiana -7. The most fascinating part of this game has nothing to do with the game. It's honestly the whispers about the cheating stuff.
Oh yeah,
like it's not going away.
Nope.
It's not going to go away tonight. It's not going away after the game. I don't want to believe it. I'm not going to. I know you are more inclined to believe these things than I am. You love this story. I can tell. Look at you. Like you sat up, you perked up. So basically, the gist of it is that people believe Indiana is hacking into some sort of cloud service, some sort of server, and getting two things: practice film and opening script. Because the opening scripts, I were told, are basically put on a server so that everyone can see them in the building, right? So like they're not like, just printed out and handed it to 15 people. And it would explain a little bit of it. I think the thing that is most interesting is that, people have changed their signals against them and they still know the changes. Like that it's, I don't know, man. It would be there are other scandals in this sport off the field. On the field, it would be the biggest sports scandal we've had probably in the sport, right? If you're hacking into a cloud server and pulling off practice film and getting the opening script.
Might explain a few things.
I will say, again, I'm just passing information along. I don't believe it necessarily, but people in the coaching industry believe it's happening.
I mean, the quarterback sort of seems like a computer hacker more than he seems like a quarterback. Maybe he's doing
the thing that like thing. So here's the thing about this, okay? And I talked about this when it came to the Michigan stuff, right? Is like how much of the players, because with the thing about conspiracies for me is that the why and the execution of it is the thing that I push back on, right? Like, why would this conspiracy you believe? Give me the why. The why is always just some nonsense that never makes sense to me. The why is easy, right? The why is easy. The why is to win the football. The how is the question I have here, because are the players in on this? Like, that was my thing with Michigan, right? Like the Michigan thing, like the signals you stole as a quotation, they're open to the public. So you're not really stealing them, right? But you're recording them. Are the players in on it? Like, do the players functionally know at Michigan that when you tell them, hey, they're going to do this, that they have stolen the signal, or you just think your coaches are smart? Like, those are two separate things, right? You directly know they stole the signal, or the coaches are just like, oh, my coaches know what they're doing. Like, I think, right?
I'd bet $1 billion it's that.
The second one or first one?
A player is like, man, my coach really got me ready for this game.
Okay, good. So in Indiana's case, which one do you think it would be? Because I don't think the players could be in on this. I think it would be they'd talk too much, right? They'd be in. It would blab too much. So coaches would be in on it, and they would just tell their players, hey man, when they're in this formation, these are the two route concepts they like. Just be prepared for those. I don't know, man. I think
what I would do?
Miami's ass.
Well, I think they're going to kick their ass too, fair or otherwise. And until we hear any actual evidence, we're going to just assume they're doing it right. They've had a hell of a season. Coach is a great story. Quarterback's a great story. The fact that they're doing this with a bunch of like 24-year-old guys who nobody saw coming, it's all cool. What we're talking about is just sort of amusing for now. But I would throw this into the mix. If I were Indiana, what I would do, or excuse me, if I were Miami, what I would do is what they do in like mob movies. And I would plant fake info.
Fake play.
And see if they prep for the fake play. They did in The Departed. It's a big plot point. There's a new movie on Netflix. I don't want to give anything away, Jeff, but
The Rip?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. It's been saved.
I'm not going to give much away, but this is a tactic that people use where you sort of deceive. You let people get the wrong info. Maybe Miami could do that.
Yes, that would be fantastic. I have not watched the Rip yet because it's one of those where like my wife's not going to want to watch it. I have to save it to like when I travel or something.
My wife
She's not
stepped
gonna
up, got up after 10 minutes. Was like, "This one's not for me. All you."
All right, have you watched Landman?
No,
Okay. Well, they finally had a good episode last night.
I watched the
thankfully.
linebacker Landman last night, but I didn't watch the movie.
No. Okay. No. That's a joke for those who get it. For the Rams linebacker, Nate Landman. There you go. We're an hour in. We got it.
I got us back to football though, and I
Got us
think
back
that's
to
where we
football.
end.
I think that's where we end as well. All right, everyone. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll be back on Friday. Matt and I to preview. By the way, props like killing it. Can't win a